Ken for Westfield Community Programming. Each and every election cycle for the past decade, we have invited in everyone running for City Council, both ward and at large, incumbent and challenging. And this year is no different. An email went out to every single candidate inviting them to come in for the interview that we do. Each interview is 10 questions, and it's the same question to each and every candidate. Most of the questions are an amalgam of what I pulled from social media as to how people feel, questions they may have, etc. This year, instead of doing everything live in the morning, we have pre-recorded in the afternoon. And all of the videos are being released at once. Also, by doing this, nobody has an idea as to what the questions are. The interviews that you see in this series are those of the City Council candidates who replied saying they would like to take part of it. Not all did. Make sure you get out and vote in November. Ken again for Westfield Community Programming, continuing with the interviews of the candidates for City Council, both ward and at large. Now, in the studio at this time, unopposed, unchallenged, but still comes in because he likes to say hi to us and keep in touch with the constituents. Ward 5 City Councilor John Beltrandi. Hello, John.
Hello, Ken. How are you?
All right. So I'm asking each and every candidate 10 questions.
Okay.
Y'all are getting the same questions. None of you have heard what they are ahead of time.
Okay.
And they're basically an amalgam of what I've taken off of social media. Questions that have been proposed, topics that have come up. Nothing here except for one is a real hardball. So I think we will get going with this. Towards the end, I do allow up to 30 minutes for this. We don't have to use the whole 30 minutes, but it's there for us to use. And at the end is when you get a chance to get on your soapbox and make your plea. Let's get going with number one. What are your thoughts on building a new combined comprehensive high school?
Well, that's a tough question, Ken, because we just built a new elementary school. We're building a police station.
Mm-hmm.
And we're spending a lot of money bonding, and we desperately need a new high school.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't see that being in our very, very near future.
Right.
I just don't think financially. The taxpayers have been burdened pretty good, up to this point, and I think that, that there may have to be a little breath taken here before we visit that.
All right. Do you think when we finally do visit it, should the schools be separate or be comprehensive?
I think it makes sense to have them together, only because if you're going to build a building, just build one. Don't, look down the road to see if you have to build something else. Make it one package. The unfortunate thing is that things are so expensive today in this time frame. When you see how much it costs to build the elementary school, think about what it's going to cost to build the police station. We're north of $50 million. So it's difficult to generate the kind of, especially when you don't have any new growth, to generate enough to come in to pay for these things. So it again, we need it, but I think it's something that we need to stay in the system. We don't want to lose a spot if we have an opportunity, but we just have to. I'm looking out for the taxpayer right now.
Right. And growth kind of comes into question number 2 here.
Yes.
What needs to be done to get more business development in Westfield?
That's a question I think I've been asked every time I've run for office, and I think I come with the same answer every time. First of all, I think we need to put in place a community development person, to be out to the public. The mayor, he does a good job at promoting the city, but you really need somebody that's their primary job. And you also need to be, we have a lot of issues with aquifer. We have a lot of issues with, different areas of town that are pretty much undevelopable or barely developable. So you have to put these things together with planning people that know what's looking to come into the community and what we can basically offer them coming in. This is a great city. We do have a lot to offer somebody coming in. And we have our own G&E. A lot of places don't have that. Holyoke does. It's very.
We do have buildable land, right?
We do. It's just that it's becoming smaller and smaller area of land as we go. Every time we put something up, it takes away from what we have available. So the residential development has slowed down substantially over the last few years, and the commercial development has been, what everybody loves to say, truck terminals. But it's development, it's tax revenue, and it's something that we're trying to capitalize on the airport area, which I think is very, very big. Bob Paul, who was the Ward 5 councilor before me, he and I worked together on getting the regional status of that airport, and I think it's made a huge difference in what it attracts for business.
Right. Yeah. That allows for more commercial flights in and out,
Yes.
the regional status. Let's see. We are on to number 3. Why are things always built but never maintained?
Once again, it's a financial thing. And part of the plan with some of these new buildings that are going up now, they have mechanisms in place now for maintenance, programs that are in, things that we didn't have in the past. We also didn't have the personnel to put in place to keep these buildings going. The school department needs to have people in place to monitor what needs to be done on a continual basis, and so does the city. City hall, police department, all of these buildings that we have, we need to do. Maintenance at the DPW level and, some of those areas is a little bit better because they have people staffed there that do that type of thing. So it's just, I think we need to be cognizant of the fact that moving forward, we need to have a program in place where it's documented what needs to be done on a timely manner to keep these buildings up.
And then fund that.
Funding's always the issue.
Number 4, and we are moving along in a pretty good clip here, so we can slow down just a bit if we want to. Why do we have dead fire hydrants in our neighborhoods?
Once again, these DPW, Water Department have been tasked with, the infrastructure in the city is very old in a lot of places, extremely old. One of the things that I've always been mystified by is that if you upgrade a certain area downtown, like off of Washington Street in the Gas Lake district, a lot of the areas down there, they made improvements in the streets, but the thing that just, amazes me is that they go in and they put in a new sewer line, and then they pave the street. Why not put the water line in while you're there?
Right.
And we're being told that, well, it wasn't budgeted that way. But you just got to go back and do it again. So, you're doing things twice. And again, dead fire hydrants are just, that's a potential disaster.
Right.
We've seen it before. And we're short-staffed in all departments, DPW, even water. There's positions that are open there. It's hard to get people to come in. The public sector pays so much better than the municipal sector. So it's tough to get people into those places. The mayor just recently made a change to the DPW offering to increase the amount of pay and to decrease what the requirements are for licensing, so we can get some more people into these positions without having them be specialized. And I think that'll help the whole situation. And it's a work in progress. And, we've got a new DPW water director. He's just getting his feet wet.
Yeah, and I mentioned it to a few other counselors. As an employee of Southwick, I can say you were very lucky to have Mr. Brown.
Well, I was pleased to see him come. I was asked my opinion by more than one person about, his capabilities, and I don't think there's any question that he's a capable guy. It's a big position to fill. We spent 5 years, Dave Billups retired over 5 years ago, and Dave was uniquely capable of keeping all of that running.
I used to have him come in.
Yeah, Dave was quite an asset. It was tough to lose him, but I think that Randy Brown probably will, be able to get his feet going and, kind of get the wind at his back, and, I think he'll do fine.
Great. This is the one wonky one out of everything here.
Okay.
What is one code you would like to remove or amend, and why? And I'm going to anecdote it by saying you don't have to give me the Muni code, just whatever ordinance or regulation that you would like to remove or amend, and why.
Well, we're working on amending right now some of the wetlands items. We had the wetlands director recently leave. I think that in the grand scheme of development, you need to be cognizant of the fact that, the conservation has a big part in what gets developed in the city. So I think it's important to monitor some of that so that you can attract people in, to do development. Specific ordinance changes, I mean, we're pretty up to date on things that, they get done pretty quickly. Bill Oniski and his team on L&O are fabulous. I mean, they're great. And I've got a lot of committees. Most of my committees are, I say my committees because as president, I appoint those committees. They do a fabulous job. And Bill Oniski is always amending and changing ordinances to keep up to what we are today. And I think that's important.
So is there any one ordinance that you would just like to see changed or modified?
What I'd like to see is I'd like to see the wetlands ordinance put into place. Right now, it's up in the air. It's all over the place. It just needs to be cemented in. And I think that gives us a better capability to attract people in the development.
All right. All right. And as somebody who broadcasts a lot of city council meetings, I know that this wetlands ordinance, it's been hanging over the council for quite some time.
It has, and there's a lot of input that goes into it. There's a lot of changes. There's a lot of state input. There's a lot of other towns that were looked at as far as what they do with their ordinances. It's not a one-size-fits-all. Every community is different. Westfield's different in a lot of different respects. So again, we have a huge aquifer, and we have a lot of sensitive areas. And as you all know, by taping the meetings, Kristen Mello's on, pretty much on top of anything that has to do environmentally out there. And she does a good job. She's a smart girl. And, she's done a lot to protect the areas that need to be done, while at the same time being objective. And a lot of people don't see it that way, but she actually has. She's.
I've seen her approve, work to be done.
Oh yeah. And I think if it's responsible, I don't think Kristen's ever a problem. So.
All right, we are really moving along here, John. Number 6, more than halfway through, and with the questions, and less than halfway through on time. But
Ken,
that's okay.
Ken, I like to get things done.
Yeah, you're a no BS guy. You just get it done.
That's it.
That's what makes you a great council president too.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. Watching you for years now. Because of the broadcast. Let's see, where was I? Number 6. What has to be done to get leaf pickup back?
That's what we were just talking about. That was the change that the mayor made to the offering for employment to the DPW. The problem is most truck drivers that we were trying to hire needed to have a CDL. We need guys that can drive trucks that are under that CDL threshold. And so we changed that part of it. We did it pretty quickly. The mayor and I had a discussion. I talked to some of the counselors that were instrumental. L&O, again, Bill Oniski does a great job. And we made that change within a few days to allow the DPW to get some more people on board with smaller trucks so that they can do this leaf pickup. That's in process right now. How
big are these trucks that you don't need a CDL for? Because I'm thinking I can go out tomorrow, and I can pull a camper with a Suburban. Or I can drive a Winnebago down the road, and nobody questions it.
Well, the Winnebago's AARP. You can thank them for that. That's why they do that.
Right, but I could pull a Jetstream, behind a Suburban and not need a CDL for that.
Nobody thinks that the whole thing is perfect. Unfortunately, when you reach that 26,000-pound threshold, it triggers the CDL.
Okay.
And once you put a trailer behind that, it triggers a Class A CDL. So even if you got a guy with a Class B, he can't pull a trailer behind that 26,000-pound truck.
Okay.
So that's kind of where the rub comes in. So what you need to do is we have several vehicles on the DPW side that are under that threshold.
Yeah.
We just
the 550s and whatnot. Yeah.
And actually, a 450 I think just gets you under. A 550 is added.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So we're trying to get people that can sit in those seats and do that job.
Right.
And I will tell you that the mayor called me last week, and or 2 weeks ago actually, and we had a discussion about this, and he was just beside himself because we just raised these trash fees by an enormous amount of money.
Yes,
now
you did.
Now we're telling people that they're not going to get their leaves picked up, and I said, well, I'm glad you're doing that job and not me. But that's why I said we'd rather quickly made a change to allow for this to move forward quickly. And you'll see Probably, if not by the end of the week, very shortly, you'll see another big yellow truck that's under that CDL threshold out on the center with a sign on it offering people. We increased the pay, decreased what the requirements were. So hopefully that's the one that attracts people.
I seem to remember maybe a year ago we had a sign downtown.
We did. We had a new truck with a new plow on it.
Yep.
Unfortunately, that was a CDL Class 2. But even a Class 2 guy, we got to. The pay has to be there because, like I said, the private sector is so far ahead pay wise that, and the mayor and I have had discussions about this along the way. He says, well, people don't understand that the benefit side of it is where it comes in long term. But it's hard to tell a kid that's 20, 21 years old.
All right, you're going to be here 30 years from now.
He's going to make 18, 19 bucks an hour when he can go to work for somebody in the private sector and make 25 to 30 walking right in the door. So that's a pretty good jump. It's something we've been dealing with for years.
Yeah, it used to be 35, 40 years ago, you wanted that city job.
Yeah.
That was a coveted job, even in the ditch next to the road.
Absolutely.
That was coveted.
Yep.
Yeah. Are we still subcontracting plows?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Let's see. Where was I? That was number 6. Number 7. What can be done to better deal with the electric scooters and the youth using them?
Those are really.
Yeah, over where you live, I don't see it. I don't think you see it as much, but
I don't. But just remember, I spent a lot of time on the roads in this city because of the job that I have. And it's kind of tough when you're driving 30 miles an hour and a guy passes you on one of those electric scooters. I mean, I'm going to get stopped by the police for going over 30, and a scooter's passing me, pretty handily.
right.
We've had this discussion. It's come up. It's on our agenda. I think maybe it might be on Thursday's agenda. To look into what we can do to actually put some teeth in something to stop. They're just too fast, and it's not safe. It's not safe for anybody. It's not safe for the people on the scooter. It's not safe for the people that are driving their cars. So, what can be done? It's got to be handled through law enforcement. I think there's really no other way. I mean, we can institute policies and we can do things, ordinance-wise, but unless it's enforced, it doesn't mean anything.
Number 8.
We're moving right along.
Yeah, you're going to be dismissed early. What is your largest concern regarding Westfield right now?
My largest concern is how high our taxes are, and how to figure out a way to get enough new growth, to kind of offset what we're having in the expense side. And it's very difficult. And I think that healthcare gave us a pretty good kick in the this year with that over $3 million increase at the end of the budget season.
Do we self-insure that, or do we just self-insure all the other stuff?
Just the other stuff.
Okay.
So health insurance is that side of it is split by the employee and the city. But I've gotten a lot of complaints from people, and I'm one of them. That my pay after the health insurance comes out of it is dramatically less than it was a couple of years ago, and it's all on the health side. So I think that's nationwide. That's not just Westfield. But I think that as far as Westfield, if we don't get the new growth, Ken, we can't solve the problem. We just can't. There's no other way. We're not getting any more money from the state. Clearly, okay. They've got a huge surplus down there. They don't even look to the west. Right. That's just the way it is.
It's always been that way.
Yeah, as far as they're concerned, it ends at exit 9.
Right.
That's it. Anything west of Sturbridge doesn't exist.
Number 9. What is your priority over the next 2 years?
My priority is to make sure that the citizens of Westfield get services that they're paying for in their tax base. And also to make sure, and I'm going to step back from this a little bit, public safety is a real, concern that I have, always have. Okay, I've always supported the police, always supported the fire. That's got to be everyone's number one concern is public safety. I think they do a great job. Clearly, the Westfield Police Department, they staffing problems They've been have a tough time getting people. I think they're starting to resolve that a little bit. Fire department seems like they're pretty well staffed. So public safety is always one of my main concerns. But I think that looking for ways to relieve the tax burden on the taxpayers, because, you know, I'm not a spring chicken anymore. I'm getting older. So now, you know, you look back and you say your earning potential goes down as you get older. And your taxes are going up. And, you know, I'm not going to say what it is, but, I mean, what I pay in real estate taxes is just amazing.
Ouch,
I mean,
yeah.
It's unbelievable.
I'm feeling it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's a great city to live in. I moved here in 1981 with 2 small children and another one on the way. Lived in Agawam. I was born and raised there. And I said to my wife, because she was born and raised in Feeding Hills, and we couldn't afford a house in Agawam. And so my mom was in real estate at the time. She took us over the hill right on the other side. In fact, my property abuts the Agawam line. I live right on the line. And I said to my mother and my dad, I said, 2 years, we're going to move back to Agawam. Well, never looked back. That was 44 years ago. So this is my home. And, you know, I think there's a lot of really attractive things about the city of Westfield. There's always work that needs to be done.
Right.
There's nowhere that there isn't work that needs to be done. You know, all the communities that surround us, they have, you know, Southwick built a you know, beautiful new track. Westfield's building a beautiful new track. Okay, the kids in this city deserve it. The people in this city, you know, it's hard to, when you ask me the first question about the combination, you know, of the high school, it's really hard because if you look at the town of Agawam, the average taxpayer for the tax, I believe the number was north of $1,100 that their taxes are being increased because of the new school. The elderly people, that's a big hit. That's a really big hit. So those are things that you really got to be careful.
Right. It's not the only community in the area where the taxes are going up over $1,000 for a new school.
Yep.
It's a lot of money.
But think again, Westfield River School, police station. You know, we've got some pretty big numbers there. You know, police station. We've needed a police station for probably as long as I've been here.
Right.
You know, it's there now. We're finally across that finish line and getting it going. And you know, I got to attribute a lot of that to very instrumental people. City Council did a good job with that. Jimmy Adams did a phenomenal job with that. You know, Ralph Figge was instrumental in that. You know, there were a lot of people that put some time into that. Cindy Harris is Cindy's always involved in everything. Okay? One thing about Cindy, she's got her finger on the pulse. She knows what's going on.
She does.
And, you know, when you ask me priority-wise, stepping back a little bit, as president of the city council, I'm not sure. I'd love to do it again next year. We'll see how that works out. But I think that the people that I have on the city council that do a really, really good job, I hope to see them get back into office. 'Cause, you know, I mean, they're instrumental in having this stuff done. And people know who's doing the job.
Okay. All right. I know what's going on because I'm in that back room every other week. But yeah, watch and pay attention.
Yeah.
And that's how you learn. That's how you figure things out.
Yeah.
Number 10. What makes you qualified?
You know, that's an interesting question. I guess I have to think about that. When I first started to do this, and I've been around now for almost 15 years, when I first started to do this, I came into it with the thought that I was going to be able to change a lot of things quickly. That doesn't happen in government, okay? Just doesn't. I found that out moving along. You know, some people that were instrumental in kind of teaching me to do things differently than I first started out. Peter Miller was one. Peter sat next to me when I first got on the council, shortly after I got on there, and probably made a fool of myself 2 or 3 times. During a break, he said to me, "Hey, can I make a good suggestion?" I said, "What?" He said, "Use these more and this less for a little while." And you know, that's really good advice for somebody that doesn't have any history with political. It took me a while to get into, you know, the rhythm of what to do. I think that after, you know, this is my 3rd consecutive year as city council president. I think that, you know, we keep things moving along. You know, we don't get stuck and you know, bogged down. I'm sure you're there most
I can
of the time.
attest to that.
You know, I'm very, very aware of campaign speeches, not allowed. Okay, we're not there for that. So, and campaign season is always interesting. We only have one meeting before the election.
Right.
So I got to just have everybody stay good for, Thursday night.
Yeah. And that's one I'm going to miss too. Darn it.
But as far as what do I think I'm qualified? I think I've been doing it long enough now where I think I'm qualified to be doing what I'm doing.
All right. That ends the 10 questions that we have for you. So I have more than enough time left over for you to get up on your soapbox, address the constituents of Ward 5 as to why they should vote for you even though you're unopposed.
So I think that my constituents in Ward 5 are pretty aware of the fact that I'm very accessible. People call me, people email me. I answer their calls, I answer their emails. I do the best I can to resolve issues that they have. I'd be lying to you if I told you I could do it all the time.
Right.
Can't, but I do the best I can. But I'm very responsive. And I think that you need to be that way. If you're going to be on the city council, you need to be there for the people. I had some calls today from constituents, on things that I'll work on and get done. Ward 5 is where I live, of course, and I raised my kids there, and it's one of the most populous areas of the city. And we've done a lot of good things in Ward 5, and I think it'll continue to go that way. And citywide. I mean, just because I'm a Ward 5 guy, you remember I'm as president of the city council, you're representing the whole city.
Exactly.
Okay, and I don't believe that any ward councilor should not be representing the city as a whole. Okay, of course your ward is where you are, but I think that everybody has to work together to get things done in all the areas. Because as Ward 5 councilor, I mean, if an at-large councilor has something they need to get done, they're going to need the ward councilors as well. It works both ways.
Yes, it does.
But again, I think the city council makeup that we have is good. I think that there is a possibility that we might see some changes. I don't know.
It's going to be close.
Yeah, it's been close.
Yeah.
I've been fortunate for the last 3 cycles not to have anybody run against me. But
Well, you just jinxed it.
no, that's okay. Yeah. My wife already told me she thinks that this is probably the end of my.
She doesn't think or she tells.
Geez, I've been married for 47 years this month.
All right, she tells.
So I know where I'm going. But I thought it was important to come in and talk to you, even though I didn't have an opponent, because I think it's important for people to see, what you have to offer them. Again, I'm unopposed, but that doesn't mean anything.
Right. I have other unopposed counselors coming in too.
Yeah, and I think that's very, very important. You have to be out there. You have to let people know that you're interested, and you have to let them know that you're doing something.
Okay, great. Ward 5 City Council candidate John Beltrandi, thanks for coming in today.
Thanks, Ken. Appreciate it.
All right.